Now, before I start this video, I want to just lay a little bit of background into how exactly I feel, because you'll know how I feel when you watch this video, but I just want to leave you a little bit more of a background into my experiences as a fan of the Houston Texans. I grew up with this fucking team. Alright? I've only been alive a few years longer than the team has been established, but the team was, given permission to be made by the NFL in 1999. So about the same age. I've grown up with this team. Grown up in the area. It's really hard to see what's been going on with the Texans as of late. I grew up, yeah, they weren't great, but they were really starting to turn it around. 2011, 2012, get their first two playoff berths, first two playoff wins. Seemed like everything was really starting to go in the right direction. And then the 2013 season happened, and everything completely fell to shit. Like, it was just the season from hell. The absolute worst season you could hope for a playoff contender, which is exactly what happened to the Houston Texans. And then that season has led us up into what we have waiting for us right now with this whole story of Deshaun Watson. Because if the Texans don't go 2-14 and Matt Schaub doesn't get eviscerated alive and Gary Kubiak stays healthy and the defense doesn't collapse, we don't draft Deshaun Watson. Matt Schaub could still be playing right now as a starter. Maybe even add a Super Bowl. Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, J.J. Watt, Matt Schaub all would be Super Bowl champions, which would be glorious. That would have been glorious. And Houston would have its first legit championship since the days of the AFL. But, once again, you'll know what I really feel in the video itself, but I'm going to reiterate here. I do not believe Deshaun Watson, as of this moment, is guilty. But there's a lot of stuff here that could go either way. This entire case could go either way. It could be found out that all of these women are bullshitting, and they were trying to extort them out for money, which could happen. Or this was Deshaun Watson being so irresponsible, he didn't even know how irresponsible he was being with his behavior, and it led to this point. Or the third tertiary option, he's legitimately preying on massusses. I hope something good can come out of this, but it doesn't seem like there is at this point. 16 lawsuits, 24 women accused, and all of them have their names withheld from the public per the attorney Buzbee. This shit is absolutely insane. I've never seen a sexual assault case blow up like this in sports. Even Antonio Brown, probably the most recent example, and Ben Roethlisberger, those two, pales in comparison now. Because this is all jumping up nearly at once. What everybody considered him to be an upstanding guy beforehand. Now his family and friends don't even know if he's a good person or not. Even some of the people who would normally defend him on good and bad grounds, because you know how people in the sports media are, they don't know how to really handle this shit. And funnily enough, the people I found with the best take on this shit has been undisputed. Shannon Sharp has actually been pretty damn good on this. He's been pretty bad on takes for the last 2 years. It's just, this whole situation is fucked. And once again, you cannot say definitively that one side is innocent or guilty. You can't. You just can't. Deshaun might be the victim here. These women might be the victim here. We don't know because we don't have the evidence. And it seems to me that Deshaun and his legal team and Dusty Hardin are trying to take the long road. They're not going to try to sell this out of court. They're going to go on with this to prove that Deshaun is 100% innocent. But we'll just have to see what comes out of this. And he might be ruined. He might be out of the NFL. He'll certainly be suspended by the NFL because you know how they treat this type of shit. They don't treat it with any objective any objective lens, and they're extremely inconsistent with their rulings per, how they treated Ezekiel Elliott and how they treated Tyreek Hill over the similar things, and the fact that they still haven't finished their fucking investigation with Antonio Brown, and he managed to win a Super Bowl in the process. So, that's bad. Like, if you're investigating a guy, why let him play? That's absolutely ridiculous. And not only that, he fucking assaulted a man beforehand. Remember, that was the last big thing people found out about him before he managed to become a Buccaneer? He fucking, assaulted a mover. Nobody remember that? But yeah, this whole situation is insane, and I will also leave off this little monologue with this. You do not have any fucking proof that the Texans did this, and considering what we've been hearing from John McClain per Outkick and NBC Sports, what would the Texans gain by trying to sabotage Deshaun Watson like this? What would they gain? Absolutely nothing, because they were already trying to work up a big trade package in return for him. They signed a bunch of free agents. They got Tyrod Taylor as their potential new QB for the future for right now. They were even planning to draft in the first fucking round. Now they can't do that anymore. They can't get their new franchise QB. Alright? And don't use the fucking bullshit excuse of, he used to live next to Bob McNair. Bob McNair's dead. Cal McNair I bet Bob McNair and Tony Buzbee don't even know who the fuck each other are. Alright? I will guarantee you that 100%. Alright? You have legitimately no excuse. Say the timing is off all you want, because the timing was a little off. But you do not have any fucking evidence that the Texans organization would be willing to try that. And even if they were willing to try that, holy fuck, they would be risking the entire franchise. The entire franchise could be completely obliterated. So please do not come at me with your bullshit, non-evidence-based accusations. I'm looking at you, Mikerophone, on YouTube. Fucking prick. Glad you deleted your video, but your video was... I didn't even get to watch your video, but the fact that you posted that as soon as the accusations came up proved just how little you actually cared about the situation. You at least had the common fucking decency to delete the video as soon as the situation got worse. But this is why you fucking wait on stories like this shit. This is why you fucking wait. Just like with Joss Whedon. Everybody should have been waiting on Joss Whedon, because the people who are defending him sure as hell don't look good now. So, congratulations. Everybody who's trying to play this point, you're playing yourselves. Or, no, more so, you're trying to play everyone else by feeding into drama. You just want to push drama and fuck off. This is not helpful in this situation at all. Wait for the fucking evidence to come out, please. This is the second time I've tried to make this video, and ever since I tried to make that first video, everything in this situation just got a billion times worse. The Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson, we all know that they're not on the same page right now. Deshaun wants a trade. Apparently, from what I've been hearing from assholes on Twitter, that Deshaun was actually trying to take part in a documentary trying to expose the Texans being racist, which, I mean, if you're going to use the comments and Cal McNair being a staging on hiring people, that is not evidence of that. So if that's true, that's pretty fucking petty. But also, we have this situation. Deshaun Watson has been accused of not raping, but sexually assaulting and trying to get people to engage with him in sexual acts by over 24 women. 16 lawsuits at this time have been filed, all by people with no name. So they're Jane Doe's. A lot, like, this situation has blown up. Initially it was just one accusation, and one or two, and the attorney Tony Buzbee tried to settle it out of court. Deshaun and their lawyers told him to fuck off, and then Tony Buzbee hit him with a reverse card, and it's like, nope, here comes all of this. Actually, no, a trap card. hit him with a trap card, and now he's got 16 accusations that are being filed in civil court. 24 women have actually accused him in total, I think. From the last figure I've heard, it could increase at any moment. There's problems with a couple of them, but in terms of the rest of the cases, we have not gotten any indication that they are false. But once again, you gotta hold on to innocent until proven guilty. But in this case, as crazy as it's blown up, you have no fucking way to tell me at this point that either side is in one way guilty. You just can't. You can't tell me that one side right now is definitively innocent or guilty. And look, this could, even though this is highly unlikely, 16 women normally coming together normally don't have any false pretenses to hide behind. It's entirely possible this is just a conspiracy to try to get money out of Watson. Entirely possible that all this stuff is fake. That all these women are lying, and they're trying to get some money out of Deshaun Watson, and they're taking advantage of him using his position as an NFL quarterback to get a bunch of masseuses. And also on the other side, Deshaun's not got an easy road here, because Buzbee has released messages, and Deshaun is apologizing to a couple of them, and we know that he has gone onto Instagram, and he is Instagram a lot of female masseuses from even outside of the Houston area to come to give him massages, which is odd. Now, according to John McClain, this is something that's something that happens, that they have, that when he was, covering the Oilers and he was talking to those players whenever they were still in Houston, that a lot of guys would talk about how they have masseuses, personal masseuses, who try to, cater to their needs for their body, so that way that they're ready for game day, so that way they're well rested. But according to people like Dr. David Chow, who is the doctor that's on Outkick, he's like, I ain't never seen a guy with this many fucking masseuses before. And he certainly has put himself in a compromising situation and was acting extremely irresponsibly. Because it seems, according to the messages and the fact that there's a lot of masseuses that he has visited or have had come visit him, that you could make the case that Deshaun was trying to take advantage of some of these women using his status as a quarterback. But once again, we still don't know. If there was sexual stuff, even if it could come out that all of this was consensual, that he was just going out there to have sex with these women under the guise of masseusing, we just don't know. We just don't have the evidence for it. You can certainly inference some of the stuff that's going on around the case and make up not make up a conclusion, but make up a set path where this could go. But we don't know where this could go definitively. This is a 50-50 shot of going one way or the other at this point. And you got two attorneys that are one representing Deshaun, that's a big time lawyer. He represented Roger Clemens during the PED stuff that he was involved in when he was a member of the Astros, and Adrian Peterson when he, Adrian Peterson, people don't remember, is from Texas. So he was the lawyer representing Deshaun is the guy who represented Adrian Peterson as well during the whole switch scandal. But then you also have what's his name? Tony Buzbee. Tony Buzbee is the attorney representing several of the all of these women, actually. Representing all of these women that are filing for the civil court case. That's 16 women. Dude's kind of weird. He's kind of crazy. On social media, he's kind of a dunce, but if he's got evidence, it's going to come out. Now, I'm not going to say I completely agree with his methods. Oh, no. No, he came out and said that the Houston police had contacted him when the PD never actually was aware of anything, but apparently he's been in touch with the detective, and he's working on getting the case in front of a grand jury. He wants the case put in front of a grand jury, so that way they could indict him on criminal charges. This has gone a lot farther than a lot of these other scandals that you've seen. Like, in terms of the sexual assault stuff, this is on par with Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby. Just in the sheer volume of women that have accused them, and the fact that the case is now going, potentially, to criminal proceedings. That's bad. That is extremely bad. To have your case, whether it be proven right or not, it's on the same level as Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein. People who serially abused women during their time in the entertainment industry. This is bad. Now, if the cases were settled, Deshaun could still find his way back into the NFL. But if he's put in front of a criminal junction, put in front of a grand jury, and is found guilty, his career's done. His career's absolutely done if this is all true. Or at least two of these accusations are true. That he was trying to do stuff with women they were not comfortable with, and even in one of the graphic details in the case, tried to inference that he would try to ruin their career if they didn't do anything. Yeah, like, your career's fucked. And even then, his career might be a little bit fucked because NFL personal conduct policy, you don't have to be proven guilty to be suspended. But people remember Ezekiel Elliott and how Jerry Jones had to basically take their junctions to court because they kept on trying to suspend Ezekiel Elliott even though he had no evidence against him. And this was just one accusation of domestic abuse. One accusation, and there was no evidence of that. But the NFL still kept suspending him. Jerry Jones had to keep trying to get him unsuspended, and they wouldn't budge, so he still had to sit out 6 games, but he was still at least able to play. At this point, if Deshaun were to come back, he would be suspended for a lot more than that. I think he might sit out 6+ games at this point. And maybe even the whole season, depending on how far this case goes. Because if this goes in front of a grand jury, this could last for a long time. Like, this could probably be the biggest thing involving a pro athlete in terms of high-profile cases since O.J. Simpson. And that was a murder case. But once again, in terms of the whole sports thing, this was at least done, all that murder stuff was done after O.J. Simpson had retired. The stuff going on with Deshaun is while he is still in the league. Alright, you had your Aaron Hernandez's, your Adrian Petersons, all the people that have been accused of improprieties, or at least have been proven to have done something really awful, your Ben Roethlisbergers, while they are still playing. Like, this is probably the worst, because just of the sheer volume. You have people who will have complaints here and there, but this is a guy who, up to this point, to most people, has had a sterling reputation. Done charity work, did a lot for his community, did a lot of weird things, but honestly, at this point, the only real criticisms you could make of him that are definitive are the fact that him asking for a particularly black coach just because he's black was really bad, and he helped overblow the situation with the Texans. Even though they're in the tailspin that they are in now, he also kind of made his bed there. So he's had some bad judgment problems, but overall he was still, like, for the most part, was a good guy. Oh yeah, and let's not forget that Deshaun also gave jerseys to George Floyd's high school. Of course, if I were a kid in that high school and I was given jerseys on behalf of a dead guy who held up a pregnant woman at gunpoint, I would be pretty conflicted on that. I would be pretty fucking conflicted. Because, like, oh, I get new jerseys, but it's also on behalf of a dead guy who held up a pregnant woman at gunpoint. So that's pretty gross. But, yeah, Deshaun, for the most part, to most people, no real character problems. But this isn't like a DeAndre Hopkins, where DeAndre Hopkins was traded by Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby, and Bill O'Brien basically tried to make stuff up about DeAndre Hopkins. This is a guy who, up to this point, no real complaints. Even from the Texans brass, who understandably would be a little bit frustrated that their star talent that they drafted in the first round was, wanting to be traded. But this situation has exploded into a sea of just uncertainty. And before I go on, all you dumb motherfuckers like Mikerophone on YouTube and all these stupid idiots who are definitively saying, oh, the Houston Texans are trying to sabotage Deshaun Watson with these allegations. Why did you not go to the horse's mouth for this? Why did you not go to John McClain? Not to imply that he's a horse. John McClain's an awesome dude. But why didn't you go talk to John McClain or anybody in the Houston media who actually knows anything about this shit? Alright? Because according to him talking to Outkick, talking to NBC Sports, the Texans were actually starting to explore some possibilities for a trade option. And it would be a massive package in return for him. It'd be like 3 first rounders, a couple 2s, a couple 3s. That value is gone. So why would the Texans do that? Why would the Texans sabotage his trade value to where now they'll only get significantly less if they manage to get that trade done? Because like I said, and like John McClain said, the Texans actually were trying to look for him to be traded. And now John McClain believes he will be traded regardless of what happens now because of these allegations. So, the Texans don't have a first rounder this year, remember? We traded our shit to the Dolphins for Laramie Tunsil. Nobody remember that? And we didn't get a first rounder for DeAndre Hopkins because Bill O'Brien's a hack. So it's like, what the fuck is your point there? But then you also have the whole racism bullshit. You have no fucking evidence of that. And also, this is the fucking Houston Texans who had a black GM for a fucking decade. Alright, remember, Rick Smith was our GM for just about a decade. We've had notable African-American talent that we have drafted, that we have gotten. DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson, fucking Arian Foster, Andre Johnson. Mario Williams was our first-round pick after our tank season in the 2000s. Jadeveon Clowney. Yes, we've in some way have not utilized them to the best of their abilities, but we were still picking those guys. And don't use the Bob McNair comments as a fucking excuse, like Mikerophone does, to try to slander the Houston Texans as a racist organization. Bob McNair was pointing that at the fucking NFL itself, not the players, and he apologized for it. The man's done a significant thing for the people of Houston. He got them a fucking football team back. He's done a lot for charity in the Houston area. Guess who also gets a lot of benefits from charity? Fucking minorities, you dipshit. But then I'll also have people come up and say this. We'll just go, well, damn it, let me get that argument right. Well, they're trying to force the Texans. The Texans are trying to force Deshaun to stay in Houston, so they're trying to blackmail him. It's like, if that were true, you would risk nulling and voiding the entire Texans franchise. I am not exaggerating. Because you do that, the Texans lose a lot of draft picks. A lot of free agents would refuse to sign there. And not only that, there is an extremely unlikely potential that if Cal McNair was involved, his ass would be removed as the owner of the Texans. He would be asked by the NFL to sell. No, he would be forced by the NFL to sell. And then a new owner could come in with a lot of money and take him to wherever the fuck he wants to, meaning the Texans would lose the Houston area would lose its second franchise in 30 plus years. That's an awful lot to risk to slander one guy. to force him to stay. All right, the Texans literally gain nothing from this. They gain nothing and would risk everything if it came out that the Texans were behind this stuff, which you have absolutely no proof of. The Texans are not behind this. That is definitive. Not just because of what John McClain said, but because you look at the situation with unbiased, unclouded judgment. And yes, I'm a little bit biased, but I've been looking at this, trying to look at this objectively. There's no way in hell they would do that. This would be the biggest scandal involving ownership and an athlete on their team ever in the NFL, maybe even pro sports history. Like, this would make some of the shit J.D. Stacy would do look like a fucking pipe dream. Like, this would be one of the biggest things ever to happen. One of the biggest scandals in NFL history involving an athlete and ownership of a team. If this came out that the Texans and Cal McNair were trying to do that, which you have no proof of. Absolutely no proof of. But I still see idiots trying to proclaim that point. That the Texans are trying to use this to keep them there. Why? Now, there's an opportunity that if Deshaun settles, he will come back. But, and only just for a paycheck, because he said that he doesn't want to play here again. But still, you have we just signed Tyrod Taylor to like a $10 million contract. We got Mark Ingram. We've gotten over 31 free agents. So they were clearly trying to build something with this new coach. We've got something here, at least, better than last year. And we were also trying to get up a defensive edge rusher. Why would we risk all of that value? Why would the Texans risk all of that value to call Deshaun a fucking serial abuser? Why would they do that? Like, it literally makes no sense. And once again, if you have a definitive thing saying whether or not Deshaun is guilty or these women are innocent, or vice versa, you're a fucking retard. Because like I said earlier, you have no proof. The proof, we're just going to have to see if Tony Buzbee has it. Because we don't know. Like I said, this dude's kind of crazy. Oh, and here's also another talking point that people love to bring up that is a complete and utter straw man. Cal McNair and fucking Buzbee live near each other on the same road. They're neighbors. On one of the biggest streets in Texas. One of the biggest streets in Texas. And Cal McNair did not live in that area where Bob McNair used to live until 2017 after Harvey. And remember, Bob McNair died a year later. So it's also very possible that the only reason Cal McNair went there other than Harvey was to help his dad in his final moments. And even though Tony Buzbee it has been shown that he was trying to pressure Bob McNair to draft Johnny Manziel because he's an Aggie fan, he don't give a shit about the NFL. And I can completely 100% believe that Tony Buzbee has never really knew who the fuck the McNairs were. Other than Bob. It's like, you don't know who fucking Cal is? I didn't know who the fuck Bob looked like until I was watching YouTube in 2017. Or no, it was on TV that Bob McNair saying the comments. That was literally the first time I ever saw his face on TV. And then a year later he died. And then, of course, he wouldn't know fucking Cal. He never even lived by him. So I can completely, utterly believe that he has no idea who the fuck these people are. Even if they are the ownership of the Texans. Not just that. Tony Buzbee and the guy who is representing Watson. They're both big time lawyers. Alright. So when we're talking about credibility, it's kind of a 50-50 split. We got people who are risking an awful lot of credibility on the line here for this. But yeah, in terms of all the bullshit, people trying to make a mountain out of a molehill with this, trying to go, oh, the Texans are obviously trying to sabotage Deshaun Watson. It's clear as day. No, you're absolutely fucking lying. Literally, all you have to do is just look at what's going on around the case. All you have to do is go look at what John McClain is either writing or talking about when he's on a podcast. That's all you have to do. That is literally all you have to do to just see, or at least to try to gauge your perspective of it. I can understand you thinking that these women are guilty based solely on the fact that they could have come forward a lot earlier. But you also have to consider when these allegations, all of these allegations have been cropping up over this last year. So that means this was happening during the 2020 NFL season. And there's even an accusation that has stated this has happened within the past month. So there's a lot to go on here. And there's no easy way out of it. There's legitimately no easy way out of it. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on it over the next few months. We're going to have to wait until Tony Buzbee or somebody is able to bring up evidence to try to purport one way or another if Deshaun is innocent or guilty, or if these women are lying. And if these women are lying, just like Clay Travis has been saying, punish to the fullest extent of the law for lying and trying to extort Deshaun Watson of millions of dollars. But if it comes out that it is true, and even right now people are speculating this, Deshaun's reputation is completely shot. Not only if this comes out as true, it's like just because of the sheer veracity of the accusations, even people who would normally defend him, if this were just one or two women, like some wokerds at ESPN, they're like, I was watching a thing on First Take, because First Take, I thought Stephen A. Smith had good takes on this, but the female lady who's with them in there, she was like, as a woman, it's like, no, do not bring your fucking identity into this. I would be doing the same thing if it came out that Megan Rapinoe was fucking raping and assaulting a bunch of guys. Like, don't bring your fucking gender into this when you're talking about it. This should be viewed 100% objectively, with the facts in mind, and that's it. We try to prove the case, and if we can prove it, Deshaun's probably going to jail, or at least is going to be out of a job and millions of dollars. And if these women are guilty, they should be punished to the fullest extent of the law for lying and trying to extort Deshaun Watson out of money. But there's just a lot in here that this could go either way, because they might not have enough evidence to actually convict him in a criminal court, but they've certainly planted the seeds for doubt for some people. But there's doubt on both sides here. There's doubt on both sides, and the situation is just crazy. I'd also like to add one more thing. Why does God hate Houston sports? The Rockets have lost 20 plus straight. The Texans are in a free fall, but at least freaking Nick Caserio is doing a good damn job with hiring free agents so far. But this whole scandal involving the Texans is absolutely fucking insane. Jack Easterby is still here. And the Astros, I don't know how to gauge the Astros for next season. And remember, the Astros fucking cheated in 2017. The championship that was supposed to help us recover from Harvey. Fucking wonderful. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that little rant on this whole situation. Because it's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. There's no way around that. This is just awful. Absolutely fucking awful. I hope Deshaun is not guilty. I do not think he's guilty at this point. But he sure as hell was acting irresponsible. These ladies, it might come out that they were trying to come do some conspiracy thing. We don't know yet. But we'll have to see. We'll just have to see.